Hello, students. I'm getting many questions about lines and 3ds Max and using Snap. So the first thing I would like to tell you is now after you bring your plan, even if you've grouped everything, make sure that you go and select each line with the curve and make sure that it is adaptive in order to not have these kind of broken straight lines. So if I click on adaptive, it will become straight. I have another curved line, which is this object. Again, I'll make it adaptive. I have another line with a curve. Okay, any line you have with the curve, you have to make sure that it is adaptive. So we have a total of, I think, 5. Let me just double check, 4 shapes. So make sure that they are all adaptive and then you can close your group normally. Now, another thing that you need to make sure of that you are freezing this plan. So if I click on freeze selection, it's going to be frozen. Now, if I open a snap, sometimes I will not be able to snap to any point on this plan because this is a frozen plan. So an important thing that you have to check as you right click on snap, and then from here you check that you have the correct options. If you're using the grid points, you open grid points. If you're not using grid points, then make sure that it is closed. Now for the frozen plan, if you go to options, you have the option to snap to frozen objects. If this is turned off and you try to use the snap on any point on this plan, you will not be able to use it. So right click and make sure that you go to options and then snap to frozen objects. Now you will be able to snap to any point on this plan. Another question that I got is how do we create a line with a curve? For example, for the ceiling for this area. Now you have two options. The first option is to go to line and draw the whole thing using one line. So when I use line, I have to click on adaptive because I'm using curves. Another thing is in the creation method, we have initial type and drag type. I will make sure that they are the opposite. If I have corner here, I will select a smooth or bezier from here. If I have smooth here, then I will select corner from here. And now I'm going to start drawing. Now make sure that it will only snap. You need to make sure that when you are snapping, you're getting the point that you want. So if I click here, for example, I can, but I cannot click straight up here because I don't have any point to click to. Okay, so let's say I'm creating the slab. So I will click here, and here. Now I do have a curve. So first of all, I'll select this point. Because my drag type is set to Bezier, which means when I click and drag, I'm still clicking on my mouse, I will get this kind of curve that I'll have to fix later on. But for now, I'll just click on this point and then I'll continue with my straight line. Then click and drag again, leave it, we will fix it later. Click here and then click here. Yes, to close the line. So all my straight lines now are correct. I still have the issue of the curved lines, which means I need to go to modify and I need to edit the vertices. So I'll go to vertex level. I'll go to vertex level. Select this for vertex. Now, by the way, I'm done with the snap. So I will close it. خلاص. I'll select this point and then I will start moving these handles. Now when I'm moving, make sure if you are moving any handles or any vertices that you click here on this corner, which means they will only move in X and Y. If you click here and you try to move, it will not move in the X axis, it will only move in the Y axis. It will lock your axis. If I click here, it will lock the X axis. If I click here, this means it will lock X, Y, and Z, and I don't want the Z axis to move, which means I only need X and Y, so I will click here. So one click between X and Y. Now I'll go to the handles and then I'll move them. If you take them further away from your vertex, the curve will be bigger. So just make sure that you are trying to get the perfect kind of curve. You can open a snap and you can move this because I'm not sure if this is in the middle or not. So once you see that both sides are almost similar, close your snap again and then make sure that this is a bit bigger. And you just continue with this until you get your curve correctly. I'll do the same thing on that side. That one still needs work, but I'm just trying to show you. So click on X and Y, and then you can move them this way until you get your curve. And again, don't forget, use a snap, move them until you reach the point that you want, and then snap, close snap again, and keep moving until you reach the point that you want. You can turn this vertex also into a busier corner. I will not move this handle, I will just move this one. So you can control it from here also. The same thing goes for this corner, right click, bezier corner, and then move this handle only until you reach your curve. When you're done, you have your line. You can use extrude to give it a kind of a thickness. So let's say it's 200. I'm not sure what is it in the project. I'm just adding a random number. So this is what I have right now. Now the other way is to combine multiple shapes. So I will use line and I will use arc. So let me delete this one. I'll go to the top of view, go to create and then go to line. Again, open snap, click on this point, this one, this one, and this one. That's it. This is the first object. Then I need a point from here to here. So again, this is the second object. Now I have two objects. I will go to arc, start an arc from this point to this one. And then click anywhere here in the middle of your arc. Create another one from here to here. And then click here. Now, if I select all of these objects, I have 4 shapes selected. And I want to merge these 4 into one. I cannot do it if I have 4 shapes selected. I have to select one of these lines only. Then go to modify. Okay, they're all on adaptive, خلاص, because I already fixed that. I will go to attach. So from attach, I'm going to select the other lines. So this is line 2, line 3, line 4. Now I have 4 lines attached, which means now I have one object only. This is only one object now. It's named line 001. Now, can I use extrude? No. If I used extrude now, this is what I'm going to get because these are still separate lines, but they are inside one object. Which means I need to go first of all to line level, go to vertex, select all the vertices and click on weld. This is going to turn this into one continuous SP line instead of 4. Now, if I click on extrude, it will extrude it properly. So what did weld do? Let me go back. If I go to vertex now, you will see here I have, if I go to SP line level, I have this SP line and I have this SP line, which means here I have 2 vertices on top of each other. What I need to do is I need to make sure that these 2 vertices are converted into one vertex. They are merged into one vertex. So this will be a continuous line. Now, if I click on weld, I select these 2 vertices and click on weld, it will turn this vertex now into one vertex only. So if I go to SP line and select this. Now this is all one SP line instead of two. But I still have this one and this one. So again, if I want to merge this and this, I need to go to vertex level, select these two vertices and click on weld. Now if I go to spline, this is all one continuous line. Still, I do have another SP line, but for this one and this one, I have two vertices, two connections. I have this side and I have this side as well. So I will select these two vertices and click on weld, and select these two vertices on top of each other and click on weld. Now, if I go to spline, I have one continuous SP line. Now, if you remember, before I explain what weld is, I said I will select all the vertices and click on weld once instead of selecting them one by one. This is because we have something called distance here. Let me just go back. So this is an SP line now, this is an SP line, and this is another SP line. When you go to vertex, even if you select all these vertices, when you click on weld, it will only weld the two vertices that have less than 0.1 millimeters distance. Which means, for example, if I change this number to, let's say, 500 millimeters. Now, when I select the vertices and click on weld, any two vertices that have 500 millimeter distance between them or less, they will be welded. If the distance between vertex 1 and vertex 2 is more than 500, they will stay as they are. They will not change, they will not merge. So if I click on weld now, it merged whatever is between 500. Let me go back and change this to, let's say, 2 meters. Now, if you know this staircase is around 1 meter, okay, which means the distance between this vertex and this vertex is less than 2 meters, which means if I click on weld, these will be merged together, these will be merged together, these together, and so on. So any vertices with the distance of 2000 or less will be merged together into one vertex. So this, and this vertex, these three, they got merged into one. Now that's why when I select all of the vertices to do weld one time only instead of 5 or 6 times, I have to make sure that the distance here is 0.1 or 1 or 2 or anything that will not change the other vertices that I don't want to get merged. So the standard is 0.1. Now if I select everything and click on weld, they will be welded together. But if you did not draw it correctly from the beginning, if these two vertices are not on top of each other, they will not be welded. So you need to make sure now from the beginning, when you are drawing the line, when you are drawing the curve, everything is in the correct position. Otherwise, you will have issues. Now let's say I want to move this line and I want to move it here, but I don't have any point to snap. If I go to the vertex, I don't have any snapping point here other than this one, which I don't need. I want it here. So what I'm going to do in this case, I will click on segment level, select this line, and I will move it in the x-axis. So right click on move. In the x-axis, I will type 200, so it will move in that direction. Now the same thing for this line, I will select the segment. For this one, I want to move it in the y-axis, so I'll go to y and I write 200. I don't know if this is the case in the project. I'm not talking about the project. I'm just explaining how to use line and how to move everything according to the questions that I received on Teams. Now, I hope all of this is clear. If you have any other questions, you can send them to me on Teams, or you can ask me on the revision lecture that we will have on Thursday.